Hello there. What is going on, everyone? Today we're going to be building a Republic list and trying to keep in mind some of the new changes, particularly the big change that is planned for clones to only be able to share one token at a time with each other while attacking or defending, and thus making Padme Amidala the queen of all Republic, the ultimate best unit in the game, potentially, at least after these changes for this faction, and maybe an auto include. And I have the Padme support squadron, which I'm going to show you a little bit about. I've also had some requests to include vehicles in a build, and I figured that this would be a great opportunity to have a vehicle based build, or at least a build featuring some big vehicles, since Padme can work with them just as well as she can work with clones. And we'll give you some options for a fun build that should be able to take advantage of some of the new mechanics. And let's kind of get into it. If you guys are new here to the channel, be sure to click that subscribe button, leave a comment, let me know what you think, and that'll automatically enter you to win the $25 Amazon gift card giveaway. Those are running all the time. I let them run for about 2 weeks, then I do a video. I'll be announcing a winner at the end of a video, and then the next one will start immediately thereafter, so stay tuned for that. Also, hop in Discord. We'll do giveaways on Discord from time to time, so we have a giveaways channel down there, plus we'd love to have you in, join the conversation. Okay, so Padme is important right now because she has the ability to share out tokens. She's not the only unit with Exemplar, but she is fantastic because of it, because Exemplar, it would seem, is immune to the effects of this nerf where clones are only able to share one token at a time. So now all of a sudden Exemplar is going to still kind of make clones feel like the old style clones, because you can also get, not only can you get all the aims and dodges she happens to have, or surges that she happens to have on her, but you can also share out those lovely standby tokens with Padme, which means she is brilliant in just about all circumstances. Another thing that's particularly good, this is gonna be a field commander list, and what I mean by that is I won't be actually running a commander. I'll be using a field commander because we're going to be having vehicles. I'm going to give her inspiring presence. The rule for field commanders are that if your courage value ever has to come in a check, you're going to use the courage value of 2, since you happen to be on a vehicle that doesn't actually have courage. So basically a field commander is only like a courage 2 commander. So inspiring presence with Padme is actually going to really help fill one of those gaps that a field commander would kind of leave as that courage bubble. And on top of that bonus, and not only does it allow Padme's 3 courage to be the panic checker, it extends your bonus from 1 to 4. So for things like War Weary, if you should face that, you're going to have an advantage because you're going to have a 2 bubble as opposed to only a 1 bubble. So this is just a really nice upgrade for her, and she's going to be doing lots of other stuff, but this is the only upgrade I'm going to put on Padme. I want to start off with the Padme support squadron, and what that is going to be is a phase 1 clone trooper unit. Still my favorite clone trooper unit is the phase 1s because of the cost. There's a lot of lists where cost is super important. However, don't worry, this list is going to also feature some phase 2s because they're going to have a new type of value. I used to like phase 2s only because of well, not only, but largely because of them being phase 1s plus, and they could also have those, put extra surges in the middle of your army that whoever needs them can use. And I feel like that's going to be less of a thing now, right? So what are these phase 1 clones going to do? Well, this is going to be kind of like one of those naked units, but not exactly naked. They are going to be running no heavy weapon, but they're going to have the phase 1 clone specialist. Now you might be thinking, well, this is strange. Why do these guys get a phase 1 clone specialist? And that's a fantastic idea because it gives them an extra gear. And this is one of the only times where I really am taking them just for the extra gear, because I want this to be one of those units that I keep alive, that helps, potentially to take objectives in the late game, but in the big shooty rounds, here's somebody who's going to be able to really help out Padme, since Padme's Exemplar is what's going to be feeding tokens to all of my clones, especially my shooting clones. I want to try to load her up with as many tokens as possible, and here is a unit that can do that. We're going to give them electro binoculars. I can now use one of this unit's actions to hand Padme an aim token. And, of course, she might already have 2 aim tokens, right? She might have done quick thinking and an aim, or something like that. And here we're going to give her another aim. And all of a sudden now, if I get a Z6 shot from somebody else, now they can spend all of Padme's green tokens, unless, of course, that rule ends up changing by the time you read this video or watch this video. And for the other gear slot, we're going to actually toss on portable scanner on there. Portable scanner is going to allow this unit to use take cover and aim. Because, look, if you're going to take an action to aim, right, you'd be better off, in most cases, just taking that action to give Padme an aim. Because now if somebody needs, an extra token, look, you've got it in a place where everybody can access it, even if they have spent one already, versus keeping it on you, and you might not be able to. So I kind of like that. Granted, if you know you're going to need aims, you should be able to aim and then electro binoculars also, since it's a separate action, because then they can take one of your aims and then as many of Padme's as they want. So that's another workaround. So this is just a really good feeder type of unit. And the dodges are kind of secondary, but for those turns, Padme's going to probably have dodges because of quick thinking. You can give her some more there. It's still going to be helpful. All right. So that's that phase 1. I'm going to put another phase 1 in here just for area activations and for objectives. They're not going to do a whole lot. They can also, this one can generate their own tokens if need be. But our shooters in this case are going to be phase 2s. Phase 2s are going to be in this one. I'm going to have, they're both going to be Z6s. Now, I know a lot of people like running Echo and 5s, but look, I mentioned I was going to have vehicles. I'm going to be short on points, and so I'm going to go with a Z6, which is still really good, but a lot cheaper than Echo and 5s. So, although, gosh, Echo and 5s are really good, right? Like, I mean, we could talk about them a little bit. Like Echo, look, I love having a reliable 1 on top of a reliable 1 unit already, right? Like, I love that. I love having reliable 2 and having extra surge, especially on a shooter unit. That's really cool, but he only gives me 2 dice. They're red, and that's groovy, and I like it, but it's only 2 dice, right? And hey, look, lethal 1 is great, but I don't have as many aims to be thrown away willy-nilly now, right? So I'm like, maybe I'll keep Echo, maybe he belongs a little bit more in the ARC Troopers now. 5s is useful. I think 5s is going to be a little more useful when I'm running Rex and I want more coordinate stuff for things like Take That Clankers. He's still pretty good. He's still got 3 black dice. That's pretty groovy. But I'll take, since I'm going to be able to get some rerolls, I'm going to be able to get the aims. I'm going to put a Z6 on here for this particular phase 2 unit. Okay. Since I also am running vehicles for my extra person, I'm going to put a clone engineer in here. I do want to be able to repair my vehicles. And so this will be an interesting one. Plus, it's just an opportunity to run the clone engineer. He's not that much more expensive than the regular phase 2 clone, and he still gets to shoot. He still gets to go bang bang. He also gets to be there just in case I need him. So I think he's kind of cool. He deserves a spot. He deserves to finally get on the roster, and here he is. Now, for training, since I do have Padme, I think I might have some standby opportunities. I want to have this unit be in my standby unit. Overwatch. Look, Overwatch is going to work real good with the Z6. It's already range 3, right? Make my standby also range 3. Let's just make everything sync up. That sounds great. Since I'm going to be spending some aims here, I'm going to give this unit targeting scopes. Not everybody's going to get targeting scopes though, right? Like it was one of those things I loved to always put out there, but it's, there's only certain units that I'm not going to be able to do quite as much aiming now. But that's okay. Still a good amount for these guys. Now, we've got fragmentation grenades I'm going to put on here too, just in case I happen to get close enough to an opponent. If they come in close, especially if and I end up having to do some standby shenanigans, then boom, boom goes the dynamite. We get surge to crit. These guys are fully loaded. Again, I figured if I'm going to have them doing the shooting, let's make them shoot real good. I'm going to put another phase 2 clones. They're also going to be a shooter unit, but a little bit less. Just a little bit less. So they're going to be phase 2s or Z6 as well. This one is going to have the clone commander upgrade, a little cheaper than running somebody like 5s. Also going to give me a reliable 1, also inspire 1, which can be useful. I kind of like it. There we go. So that's going to be in there, and we are going to put a training upgrade here. I'm going to give them offensive push. Look, where we might not have as many aims available in such a, if such a case were to come true, then at least we can kind of generate one extra for ourselves to make up for the lack of being able to borrow infinite aims from our buddies. And that's what offensive push is doing there. Plus, I mean, it's just a generally a good upgrade in general. I don't think I have to talk up offensive push too much. Now, let's move down. We got some vehicles to add now. Instead of going with supports, which there are definitely good supports, the Rada NASP is not out yet. The ATRT is decent. It's always been decent. It's pretty solid. And in this case, you don't even have to give it a hard point, right? It's got those three guns already, like the 3 dice for its its normal plus critical 1, impact 1, and surge to hit. It makes for good for fire support and all that stuff. And the Bark Speeder, look, the Bark Speeder's got a red defense dice, speed 3. If you put a sidecar on there, it's going to go a little slower, but it gets that compulsory move. It's real good for objective, some objectives, and that's cool. But I don't want to go with the big things. I'm going to put a saber tank. Look, and here's why. Like, the supports are great. If you got the supports, do them. Maybe, because I'm going to run 2 heavies, but maybe you just want to run, supports. Well, then you're going to have to put a commander in there, plain and simple. And, maybe you do Rex, maybe you run a generic clone commander, whatever you want to do. But I'm going with the TX-130 Saber class fighter tank. And, these are expensive. I want to use them. I actually have 2 of these. This is not going to be a double TX. I'm going to run a LAAT also. But for the TX Saber class tank, big shooty thing. This one is going to be my cheaper field commander. I'm going to run Ayla Secura. We also have a field commander option for the LAAT LE, but in this case I'm running Ayla Secura. Part of it is because of points. Also part of it is Inspire 2 is just not half bad. And I don't think I'm going to need veteran clone pilot because I have Padme already, and so like this might have been the one I would have taken default a little bit more on the TX-130. Plo Koon is not bad. He's not bad, and I think he works a little better on somebody with something like HQ uplink or maybe even ordnance or something that you want to potentially do recovers for, because he's inexhaustible, and I just don't see my TX wanting to recover very much. I think most of the time I'm going to want to aim and shoot. At least how I'm going to be playing this particular build. So I don't see myself wanting to do recover very often. So Ayla Secura seems like the best pilot option in this case, since I do need a field commander, and she's only 5 points. And she gives me a little extra. And she's Ayla Secura, so for thematics, thematics are always important, man. I do like the rule of cool, and sometimes thematics can be very, very cool. All right, now we've got 2 options here. The beam turret is always fun. You can't fire support into a beam attack, but it does get you a couple extra attacks, right? Potentially 2 extra attacks. But I kind of like the twin laser turret here. It gives me critical 1, which is super important, right? I mean, like, gosh, I mean, all these dice and what if that red, I appreciate having critical 1. Range 1 to 3, it isn't quite as long as the other weapon. But it's an extra die. It's more dice than you'd have normally had, and I kind of like it. And the price, man, it's only 14 points. That's super cheap compared to the 30 points of the beam turret. So I'm going to go with this one, and that's going to be a good kind of mid-level tank, that if it gets a little closer, can really do a lot of damage to you, man. You're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 dice with a single surge to crit. Oh, sorry, you got critical 1 on the main gun too, so critical 2. Come on, get it. Get some. All right. That's the TX-130. We're going to put a LAAT LE now, and I haven't actually flown this for the Republic yet. I've only flown the Imperials version. Now, granted, it's the same vehicle, but there's different options to equip this. So just kind of running through these. You do have Fox as a field commander option. And Fox is cool. There's definitely some benefit to running Fox. He has a free action, but he's 10 points, right? So he's already twice as expensive as Ayla Secura. And his free option is a little bit better if you're doing something to people that you're either carrying or very, very close to. And this is a unit that might want to go off on its own. And so if it does go off on its own, we have some other options. We've got the Shock Trooper pilot. He's better if he's transporting people, and I don't know for sure that I'm going to be transporting people, right? I can't say that with absolute certainty. So I'm not sure if I'm going to be transporting people, but I like Hound and Grizzer. I almost said Grizzler, but I'm going to run Hound and Grizzer here. They're a little more expensive. They're at 8 points, but I like Observe. I like the Observe option, especially now with Clone's lack of guaranteed aims. This is going to really, really work well with a lot of what I have going on, especially also for the Saber tank. So this is just, I think this is a cool pilot that maybe didn't have quite as much impact to the faction before, but I think it's going to work pretty well now. And the cool thing about this is because that's an action, right? You think another thing I didn't like about this at first is like, why do I really want to spend time doing an action like that? Well, Arsenal too, but you only have one gun, right? So we got to put another gun on here. I'm going to be moving this one around. I'm going to give him the bunker busters. All right, well, it's range 1 to 2, so I have to get a little closer than I normally would have gotten, but that's okay, right? I might have those opportunities. I can move and boom, boom, big shot, real big shot, right? 8 dice. That's cool. And oh, is it cycle and scatter, by the way? Oh, that's groovy. That's really groovy. I like that. Well, guess what? Next turn, maybe I'm going to have to recover if I want to shoot again, or maybe I'm not. Maybe I'm just going to chill out during the downtime. Maybe I'm going to get to safety. Well, that's a good option for me to go with Hound and Grizzer, right? Maybe that's the time that I like move to safety and do the Observe, right? So I have something useful to do when I'm in between the big shots, and I think that's a kind of a cool thing. And plus I have the option to do some transportation if I want to. Now I did say that this guy would be off on his own from time to time, so I'm going to give this one HQ uplink as well, and that also gives me even more flexibility because now if I want to shoot those bunker buster shells maybe twice in a row, I can shoot, unload everything, and then recover and get my bunker busters and my HQ uplink back. And I have the option, like if I get in a good primed position, I can just like bam, bam, bam every turn. And if I need to move, then I can like move and Hound and Grizzler and read every Hound. I'm always saying Grizzler. It's not Grizzler, it's Grizzer. It says it right there. I can read the card. I promise. Okay. So, and that brings me to $7.99. Now, this is all assuming that none of these points have changed, and some of these may have changed. So this is just a fun build based on everything that we've seen so far. Let's go ahead and look at our command cards. For this one, I'm actually going to take all 3 of Padme's command cards. Because I imagine, first off, let me start off with diplomatic cover. This is just a real nice option to have at the beginning of the game, and it can give Padme secret mission depending on what you're up against. You might have the deployment that you really want to do that. You might also not want her to deploy too far out. She might not get infiltrate. Right? Maybe you do want her to have infiltrate. Maybe you don't. But if you want her to have secret mission, right? You have an additional option of being able to use the LAAT LE to get her where she needs to go as well. So like I think that just works kind of well with the build, or especially if you have to like move late in the game, like maybe the first 4 turns you're just supporting all the clones, and now it's time to go. So boom, she's got to ride, and then maybe she falls out of the LAAT, and then it's just like it was in the movies, except that was a different LAAT. Okay, we've got aggressive negotiations, which is just a neutrally good. I mean, it would be just as good as something like push, right? As long as, because Padme can just send her, is Padme and a trooper? Well, you got a lot of troopers, and she can, send her own order to somebody else anyway, so she can hand out some free tokens that way. So that's just a really good 2-pip in absence of anything else that you really are sacrificing. Her 1-pip is one that I don't know if she'll need to use all that much, but since a normal 1-pip's only giving you 1 anyway, and that she can send hers wherever else she wants, she still gains these abilities, so it's still better than a lot of other stuff. So I think in just about any field commander list, I think all of Padme's cards, you might as well take them, because she can just send her own orders wherever else she wants. So you really lose nothing, plus you gain some benefits. So that's all groovy. And then we have a lot of generic cards now, right? I'm not going to use any of the Wookiee cards. For our 3-pip, I'm going to go with Attack of the Clones. I've got 4 clone troopers, so this should work fairly well, and it's going to give extra tokens as well. So that's also super awesome. I'm going to go with air support, because obviously this list was built for something like this, and so that's just going to fit very, very well. Plus it gives me that beam attack that I don't have on the tank, but at least I have some beam potential here as well. So I kind of like that. And then we have our last one, which is going to be synchronized offense. This one is actually a really nice card. It's going to be one vehicle after and this is also going to work well with HQ uplink because I can have the saber class get this, then the LAAT LE can activate itself, and then they both get to issue additional orders as well, and we can do all the fun stuff with that. If we need to do some fire supporting, we can do it that way as well. But just overall a nice way to have a 1-pip issue multiple commands. And that's going to be all of our commands for battle plans. Let's go down to battle plans a little bit because these ones I'm a little less like concrete on, but anytime I've got vehicles, I like to have not hostage exchange. I like to have breakthrough. Especially I can use that LAAT and drop some people off, and that one's a fun one for vehicles. Bombing run, another obvious one for fast vehicles. Bombing run's going to work there. Since my tank can stay put and really kind of lock down a position, I like sabotage the moisture evaporators. Gives me, like, I can just have him hold a certain area and then kind of move everybody else towards something else. And it kind of works for key positions as well. I can kind of lock down a middle area with a big heavy vehicle. So I like key positions for that. For our deployments, I'm obviously going to start with rollout. Rollout's going to work pretty well. I'll do with major offensive. That's going to give me a lot of flexibility on where I want to put some of these larger guys. Battle lines also does the same thing, and frankly, I'm a sucker for battle lines because it's just the easiest to set up, right? And it's usually convenient when you're sitting across from each other. It's just so convenient. So I like battle lines for that. And then you know what? Danger Close is an interesting one, but if I end up having Secret Mission with Padme, it's a big threat. Danger Close is also really good if you're also running R2D2 as well. So if you do make changes, if you were to make changes for something like this and you wanted to put in R2, because this is only 7 activations. So again, we're trying out some new mechanics, having fun with it. Nothing wrong with that. For our conditions, we're going to run, first off, I don't have much in the way of sniper potential, so I do have a range 4 attack on the tank, but I still don't want I have so few units, I don't want them getting picked off too early, so I'm going to start off with limited visibility. I'm also going to do hostile environment, since I do have 2 big vehicles, and I also have a lot of Inspire in the list. I think hostile environment is going to work pretty well for me. Supply drop is an always fun one, so I'm going to put that one in there. And especially when I have vehicles, I like supply drop, because a lot of times when you're not running any vehicles, you get that arc welder, and it's garbage. And here it will actually be, you have some use. So that's fun. And I'm going to put War Weary in here, since this is one that I have a built-in defense against, partially because I have Padme who can help keep the clones from panicking, also with the Inspire, but also the vehicles, right? So War Weary is something that can really just hurt my opponent way more. And so that much is super cool. Plus I have like the vehicles with the arsenal. I can put out a decent amount of suppression. Not a super high amount, but I have a lot of defense against a lot of that stuff. So that's the build, guys. I would love to hear what you guys think. Let me know down in the description. I'll put a link. I'm using Tabletop Admiral today, so be sure to check out Tabletop Admiral. Click on the link, check out the list. Let me know some of your thoughts. What do you think of Padme being kind of like the glue that holds all of the Republic together now? What do you think of my Padme support squadron with the Phase 1 clones with both electro binoculars and the portable scanner? Would you run it cheaper? Would you run it with just Phase 1 clones with electro binoculars? Maybe they can like move. Maybe they'll aim and then electro binoculars to her and not worry about the dodge capability. I think that's probably, a way to free up some points. There's definitely a lot of things that can be done. But that's okay. We're having a good time with it. I think we did that. We could probably get another heavy weapon in there somewhere or something like that. So there's a lot of potential, but I'd love to hear what you guys think. All right, guys, that's going to do it for today's video. Be sure to check the links in the description below. I will talk to you later. I want to thank you all so much for watching, and big thanks to my patrons. You guys are amazing and help hold this channel together, much like Padme holds the Republic together. So remember to tip your waitress, tip large, tip at least 20%, even if the service was lousy, because some folks are just having a bad day.